Alrighty, how's everyone doing? Welcome. Hope everyone's doing all right. If everyone got through the cold weather. Let's see who was in here. I saw Brad, Hidden Harvest Grow Lights. Popped in here first. Jujube. And Brad, if you ever want to pop on here and talk about your grow lights, just let me know and I'll send you a link and you can pop on here. If you guys just hang on for just a minute, we got a guest with us tonight, and a lot of you probably know him, so it'll be real fun. It'll be here. Let's see. Let's see who else is there. Jujube, how are you doing? Lynn, what's up? Everybody, let us know where you're at, where you're from, how the weather's at, where you're at. We got, hi everyone, been studying hydroponic system designs to find that one that I want to make. Glad to be here. Awesome. How are you doing? Jeff, what's up? Jeff was on here a couple of weeks ago. Who else we got here? Design Unlimited. How are you doing tonight? Cool deal. And what do you call it? My chat is like lagging behind. So if I miss you or whatever, just holler at me and so I can go ahead and say hey to you. But I'm going to pop someone in here, and it's kind of a surprise. I was going to come on here. This might look like a landfill, but basically we're going to talk about containers. And these are things that I've been saving up for a long time. And just like you guys have seen me use just the regular old milk cartons, we did that. You know, I saved a whole bunch of those up, like 60 of them, and grew a lot of plants. Springtime's coming, and we've got a whole lot of different things to do. So I want to give you guys a lot of ideas, different things you can do, and kind of discuss the containers and which ones kind of work better with the Cracky system and without. Give you a little bit of information on that, because sometimes some of them are not conducive to the kind of plants you want to grow. Let's see, who is this? Dr. F, how are you doing? What did we say? Who we have here? 3 inches of snow today. Wow. I feel for y'all. I'm down in Florida where it's t-shirt weather again. So, you know, I'm excited. It's, we're going to get growing, and we might get a late frost, but they said this was going to be a little warmer winter than usual. So, we're going to go ahead, and we've got microgreens growing. I'll bring some of those out and show y'all. If you saw the video this morning, we had the pea shoots. I've got those over there. I didn't trim them up yet. They got like, they're actually too big, but I'll bring those out in a second. But we're going into spring, so we're going to have our microgreens growing, and we're going to put our stuff out this next week or 2 weeks. We're going to just start planting stuff. And if we do get a late frost and we get hit, that's the beauty about the system, is that you can start all over, and within a couple of weeks, you have leafy greens everywhere. So we're going to get started on it. I'm going to pull someone in here. Little special guest, kind of surprised me. So it's real cool that he's here with us tonight. Some of y'all probably know him.
Hey, here I am.
There he is. It's Marty from Marty's Garden.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for having me on the show, Mike.
Hey, no problem. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really good, man. I've got a bit of a bad hair day going on with this thing. I'm used to having my hat on the show, but it's good to be here, mate. I'm just stoked to be on the show and just, you know, be a part of it in any way I can.
Cool. Yeah. And Marty sounds like he's breaking up a little. Is my sound doing it too? We're trying to figure out if this is like my internet's messing up, or is it just us? And Marty's on the other side of the planet, if y'all don't know. So yeah, it's, you know, it's, yeah, Australia. It's pretty cool, you know, that we get to chat with each other. But you're in the future, right? From us, it's Monday night here. And what time is it over there?
It's 12:07. I'm on Sydney, Australia, New South Wales time. And my name's Marty. They used to call me Marty McFly from Back to the Future, so maybe I am in the future.
My 7-year-old walked her seed packets to the post office today to mail some to friends. Got it. Oh, that's awesome. And let's see. I don't know your name, if your name's different. I think you're the one that we were going to send some seeds to, or try to. Is she showed she's in our Facebook group, and if you guys aren't in the Facebook group, it's linked down below, and you can jump in there. And we all like to share what we're doing. It doesn't have to necessarily be hydroponics. just anything you're growing, we like to go ahead and just share with everybody. And if you've got any questions, that's a good place to go, because sometimes we get busy on here and we get so many questions going through, we miss some. Over there in Facebook group, you can just post it, and I try to get in there, a few times a week. But there's a bunch of other people. Jeff, that was on our show, and he's in there. He's there a lot of times. CB's in there, and they know a whole lot about the hydroponics that we do, so they're glad to answer questions. So you hear you both fine. Okay, cool. They can hear us, Marty. That's awesome.
Awesome.
It's t-shirt weather here too. Frost, if you want frostbite. Yeah, Jeff. I was gonna say I didn't think it was. I saw the snow. Jeff actually had like, it looked like about a foot of snow, and he's got this little tiny dog, so he had to make a little path for his dog to run around and use the bathroom outside. Rocky USA, how are you doing? And Russell Perry, what's up? Hello, hello. So, Marty, what are you up to lately?
I've been growing some microgreens a bit like you, Mike. I usually got them going on the go. And yeah, but I'm actually like got them growing in trays. Like back in the old days when I had the micro farm growing, I've got some Kangkong that I've been experimenting on, and it's mate, that stuff just blows me out. I know that some places can't grow this, but because of certain laws and things, but it never ceases to amaze me, this plant, if you're allowed to have it. I'm just growing in these sort of trays that you would get out of nurseries, the double tray, and I just go along and cut and harvest again, use it in salads and stir fries. So, and stuff on the channel here, and just growing out in the garden, selling my compost, and I'm doing double shifts at the moment. So I'm in between shifts at work, so it's good timing.
Oh, cool.
And I'm really interested in this subject, so if I can help in any way, answer any questions, just just far away. I'd just love to be a part of it.
Awesome, cool. And I love King Kong. Yep, that's the one. What do you call it? Marty introduced that to me. I love it. I wish I could grow it. It grew like wildfire here. It was like easy. Did well in the cracky system and the hydroponics. Some plants don't like being wet all the time, and through the summertime it was just like everywhere. It was like it was hard to kill it if you were trying to kill it.
It's an awesome plant, sure.
Yeah,
If you're
and
allowed to have it.
I had a lot of when my wife actually went into the emergency room, and one of the doctors that was there, I don't know, she was talking to him about it when I was out in the waiting room. He came out and started asking me because he actually likes that, and there was nowhere to get it, where we live. And he was like, "You have King Kong, whatever." So, but if I could have it, I could probably have a market where I could sell it if it wasn't, an invasive plant here. There's a demand for it.
Oh yeah, it's I try to grow these plants over here in Australia that most people don't know about. Nearly everyone doesn't know about King Kong, and a few others that I've got growing, like betel leaf and the Vietnamese mint and some Asian greens that grow really good in sort of like hot areas, just as annuals instead of they're perennial plants, but you can grow them as annuals because they're so fast growing, and they handle the heat. So you can have like full on hot as you can grow, can be, it'll grow.
Yeah.
Just give it the water. So yeah, and I think I told you before, I'm doing some trips over to Southeast Asia as soon as everything clears up. Be looking for more plants over there, empowering some of the young people with some gardening knowledge, and even setting up some small farms and things. So yeah, a lot going on. But I love this recycled stuff that you're talking about here. For the fact is that, like when I was in the Philippines last time, I was running trials for 3 weeks, and we used these plastic bottles, bought them from a recycler. So he had money, right? So I was feeding the economy by giving him money by buying the recycled plastics, bottles similar like you've got, and some glass, making these vertical stands, and we were cutting open holes and growing microgreens popping out the sides in vertical spaces, and it was working really, really well.
Cool.
I'm excited for what's going on here today.
Nice. Yeah. And what do you call it? Well, we'll talk more about that. You were talking about you're going to be planning a trip over the Philippines and showing them how to like grow, setting up gardens and everything.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that sounds really exciting because that's a lot of what we're about here is, just spreading the word, just trying to get everybody to learn how to grow their own food, whether you can spend $2,000 to get a big setup or you have 400 acres to grow on, or if you just got a little back porch and hardly
yeah,
any money, it's cool that, I think it's just knowledge that, everyone should have, regardless of if you're actually doing it right now or not. It's always good to know how to provide for yourself and not depend on someone else for every single morsel of food that you need.
for sure. I'd really like to in a little while later, when you've gone through some of your material, just to speak about who my superhero is in small space gardening. I know a lot of people look towards myself, like you and me and you, Mike. I mean, and others, for inspiration and to learn and stuff. And people wonder, who are your mentors? Who are the people that you looked up to? And I really would like to share that. And I think this guy's the recycling king. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Cool. Yeah. And what do you call it? So and you sent me a link too. I'll check that out.
We can mention that website a bit later when we talk about this fella, if that's in the plan.
Yeah, we can. Let's, yeah, let me say hey to Dale. How are you doing in my life? What's that? My life house. My thing's all lagging over here. She said she's doing mustard seeds and microgreens from her spice cabinet. That's pretty cool. I did that when I first started doing the microgreens. My wife Keely, she would come out. I was ordering seeds or going up to Home Depot or Lowe's and getting seeds and starting them, and she would come out with everything that she had, in the kitchen. She'd give me like chia and flax and everything she had. She was like bringing it out, saying, "Hey, try this, try this, try this." But we actually tried some mustard seed from Indian Mart, and it was like really super cheap, for like a pound of mustard seed, and it grew all right. So I think I get another aromatic. It's called methy or fenugreek. I just picked that up at an Asian Mart. Yeah, it was in the Indian Mart, and it grew just fine. So you can experiment with things like that. Let's see.
I call it the secret place to get seeds from is these spice centers.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're buying small amounts, sometimes
Right.
it can be a bit old, and the generation doesn't. It might be about 50% sprouting rate, but
Yeah.
sometimes you get good deals.
Right, exactly. You might not get a good germination rate, but if you're just wanting to practice and stuff, it's okay. And Kimberly, she says she's waiting for a downspouts. Downspouts, cool. If anybody wants the downspouts are on sale, buy one get one free. There's a link to my store down below, and we're doing that right now. Let's see. In Harvest, how are you doing, Brad? Brad, like I said, anytime you want to pop on here, like Marty, tonight, another night, or I'm going to be on every Monday. Just pop on here and talk about your grow lights. All I have to do is send you a link and you can just pop on. You can do, you don't need the video if you don't want to. You can come on and just do plain audio or whatever. But I think a lot of people would like to hear from you. They got a lot of questions about your lights. I've got a little section set up. If any of you watched my video this morning, and it's got Brad's grow lights in it, and I'm kind of excited about it because I'm in a small space, a tiny house, and I didn't really have any place to put it up. So I've been looking and thinking, and finally I was just like, I'm going to move this stuff out here and make me some space and put that in the storage or whatever. And I finally got it set up and it's ready for spring. So I'm excited about it. Definitely. Let me get through the chat here.
Someone just asked what my channel is. It's called Marty's Garden. Just type in Marty's Garden, you'll find it. It's everywhere.
Yeah. When I come back, Marty, I wasn't expecting you on here tonight, so I would have put your link down in the description already.
Oh, good.
But if y'all come on back later, I'll make sure it's down there. But like Marty said, if you just type in Marty's Garden on YouTube, you're going to find them. Mike, let's see, with those downspout pipes, how much room is there for the roots and does it affect the plants? Yeah, it's a 3x4. Um, it's good for your leafy greens if you're going to grow them, and that's what I like: fast growing leafy greens and things that you can harvest and get going again. And you'll see, like if we have the pak choi, it takes a couple of weeks, and we harvest it, and we have microgreens to come right in behind of it. So we keep a little constant thing going. If you watch some of the other videos, and there's the pak choi doesn't really grow a big root mass. Now, something else like tomatoes or like the peas and things like that, it gets a little bit crowded. So you're gonna have to get a bigger container if you want something like peas, tomatoes, any of the root vegetables and everything. Let's see what Brad said. Love it too. You'll be my first time on TV. Oh, cool, awesome. Yeah, anytime you want to come up, Brad, just let me know and I'll shoot you a link over in where are we connected? I think Instagram. There you go. Jeff's got it. Appreciate that, Jeff. Let me know what's happening. Let's see. Head and harvest. Marijuana legalized today. Awesome. It's just kind of weird that we don't have that like across the entire United States. It's like a couple states at a time. Sooner or later it'll happen. But yeah, Marty, if you one thing we're talking about, like I said, we're using this is all the recycled stuff that we have. This would usually go into landfill, and if I wasn't growing plants, I probably wouldn't buy this much plastic. I'd probably buy more, the cartons, the ones like that. But because I know that when I use those, I can grow a plant like one time, like the other videos you all saw, I had like a bunch of pak choi growing in it, and then they deteriorate.
Oh, for some reason it's gone across to me. Hang on there, Mike. I can't see you there, Mike, or hear anything. I've lost you. Lost the sound.
Yeah, the whole thing. So it is my internet acting up over here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
That's the one thing about StreamYard is if you're the host and you get kicked out, it doesn't like the whole stream doesn't go down. So
That's
that's
good.
cool. Yeah. But yeah, so I wouldn't normally buy this much plastic, but because I know that I can take it and grow something over and over and over and get several more uses out of it before it hits a landfill, then I go ahead and get it and then we save them up. And usually what I do is that these will be stuff that it's cheaper. It's like buy one, get one free sale. So then I don't feel so bad. I'll get a couple of them and I'll save them. And then when I get ready, like spring's coming up and I figure we're going to be growing a whole lot of stuff. So instead of me using a bunch of downspout, I've already got those out there and you've seen that. I want to do something different so that the people who don't want to, use that, if they want to, everyone's trying all these different containers and there's certain nuances that go with it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like someone was talking about like the roots, and if there's room for the roots. And some things are, if it's too tall, we might look at, a real tall container and go, oh, that holds a lot of liquid. But if it's a plant that doesn't have roots that run deep, that water will evaporate faster than its roots can go down to get it. And some of them don't even grow that long. Like the pak choi, it doesn't grow like real long roots like a pea plant. So there's different considerations you gotta take. But just when you're using things like this that are free, that's when you can experiment. Instead of going to the hydroponic shop and buying all this stuff and spending a whole lot of money, is just try out what you got. We've got these just the takeout containers. We go out and eat, and we don't throw these out. We just wash them and turn them into microgreen growers and all the other stuff. Y'all seen this, things like that. We just got that from the Dollar Tree. Turn the lid upside down. Anything that you can turn the lid upside down and it kind of stays in there will work. And for a buck, we've been growing. I probably had about 12 grows out of that already.
Yes, it's pretty interesting stuff, Mike. Couple of questions from me. I haven't done a lot of hydroponics, a year or two, sort of dabbling in it here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But from my experience, the clear containers get the green algae in them. So how do we solve that problem?
Let's see. Here's one too. Do we need to paint the clear containers for algae? Yes. There anything you can do to block out the light, basically. It's if algae is just like a plant and it needs food, needs the right temperature, it needs light. And if you can block out the light, because you can't, your plants need food, so the food's going to be there. And you can't really control, the temperature's got to be right for your plants. So it can't be too hot or too cold. It's going to be all right for the algae. So the only thing you can control is the light.
Right.
And so you can always block out the light. And what we do, like, I'll have these clear containers. Now, these aren't set up yet. This is just the way they came. I pulled the label off. And basically, you can paint them if you want. I usually don't paint the top. I'll take the tops off and paint, up to here. And if you paint it a dark color, it'll block out the light. So something like black. I usually put on a couple coats, and I put on several coats until I look on the inside and I can see that's blocked out most of the light.
Cool.
And then
Can I share a method? Sorry,
Yeah.
Can I just share a method that I did?
Yeah.
Because I've had similar problems with soil, and when I was doing the hydroponic as well, I used paper tape. Not the electrical tape, the paper tape, and it wrapped around quite easily a couple of times.
Right.
And that seemed to work for me. That was a pretty cheap option. You buy a whole set of rolls. So that, I guess that's another way if you don't have to paint. And I found the light didn't get through if you went around a couple of times.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I actually, a couple years ago, Keely does arts and crafts, and I took hers. It's actually like duct tape, and they sold it in the Dollar Tree, so it was only $1 for a roll. It's not a huge roll, but they had a reflective one. It looked like little prisms or whatever, and that was pretty cool because that kind of reflected the light. And like say you just tape it on, that's an easy way. Another way is it's real easy. It's just getting foil and just wrapping it up with foil. You're done. It takes about like 20 seconds to wrap one up, and it does
elastic band around the bottom of the foil.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, good idea.
And let's see if I miss anybody's what is that, Keely? If I miss anybody's comments in that, go ahead and just pop it in again. If you got any questions for Marty, like I said, we're talking about like containers and that for hydroponics, but if you got some questions for Marty, feel free, pop it in the chat. And me and Marty have got some news about something that's going on, a little project that we're working on. Shut down everything. How much did you want to tell people, Marty?
I think at the beginning, before we sort of move towards that project that we're talking about, I'd really love to talk about this guy, because I want to keep on the subject of what you're talking about, recycling, because this is really important to me. Like being into worm farming and sort of like regenerative gardening, that permaculture sort of, organic farming side of things. The recycling part is really important. It's almost like without the recycling part, it doesn't exist. And so, but we're looking at a whole different element here. Like I'm recycling organic materials, but we've got this problem around the world with plastics and things like this. And there's been this argument for years and years. And I know there's going to be some people who disagree with me. That's okay. I'm really okay with people disagreeing. But there's a man, his name's Willem van Cottham. Now, he's my hero from way back, and we've been friends for about a decade now. He's getting on a bit, so he's not in Facebook so much. He occasionally puts some articles on his blog, which is called containergardening.wordpress.com, and I think Michael will leave the link down below for that. But
yeah.
See, he's a botanist professor in Belgium, and he walks the walk, right? He would go down from Europe into Africa, and he would take these systems. He invented the recycled bottle tower gardens and things like that. And he would teach people how to, get a bit of compost, get a bit of local material, put it into these containers, build these vertical gardens, and then look at all the wild plants and different plants that were around, take down seed, and these people that didn't have food, and teach them how to grow food. So when he left, they could keep carrying on this project because they didn't have money, so they couldn't go out and even buy a pot. You know, it was expensive for them to buy a pot, but the plastic's lying around for free. Now, unfortunately, some people go, oh, we don't want to grow in certain plastics. And look, I can totally understand that. And Willem, he got hammered for years on this, absolutely hammered, so much so about it. And it's like, well, hang on, you know, like if these guys have got no food and they're starving, but they can grow in a plastic bottle, are they not going to worry about a couple of chemicals in plastic? That was his argument. And then you've got all these haters, bang, 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 just hitting him hard. We're talking about a guy that's got millions of followers on Facebook before they changed all the links, right? Mm-hmm. And anyway, being a professor and at the uni and all that, he got the tests done. They put everything in the lab, used all these different types of plastics, grew all these different plants out of it, tested all the material. Guess what they found out? They found out that the plant does not uptake those chemicals. The plant only uptakes, and it was a discovery itself that the plant would only uptake what it needed, required, and wanted at that time, as long as it wasn't locked up from, say, other sort of soil imbalances or whatever. So it was really, really interesting stuff. And he's got that in that, if you search through that blog, I couldn't find the exact link, but it's there showing all the tests and all the results.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. Like I said, it's my hero.
Yeah. There's always lots of questions about that.
Look, it's early days for it, and I'll try and find the actual post to it because it's quite old now. It's probably 6 to 7 years old because I've done lots of videos about growing in plastics as well and spoke with Willem about it personally to get a result, because it's, you know, when you're just guessing and you can't get these tests done, you've got no hard evidence. And so the hard evidence is pretty much there now. And so I send people to that, but it's been so long, I just can't find the hidden article in there at the moment, unless I get in touch with Willem and I can get a hold of him, because he's pretty low key these days. But it's definitely in there in that website if people want to dig around and like have a look in there about what's going on anyway, because it'll open your eyes, man. It's the material in there is gold. It's priceless, and it'll be evergreen forever.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to look up that. I've got that. I dropped that link in the chat that Marty was talking about. I'm gonna have to look that up too and dig deep into that. So it's like I said, we've always got questions, and years ago, you know, I tried to look it up and nobody actually like tested it and everything, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so don't leave yet, guys, to follow the link, because there's book or stuff here. Go there later, you know, and have a look. There's plenty of time.
Let's see. Somebody asked about thyme in hydroponics. I haven't grown thyme yet. We've got some out in the garden. My wife, now, you know, my show is about, you know, growing DIY hydroponics, you know, as easy and as inexpensive as you can. But, you know, we also like traditional gardening, and there's some plants that just don't do well in hydroponics. And sometimes we have a small traditional garden outside too. It's not huge, but I just made Keely an actual little raised bed, and she was tickled about that. But we like to have a couple of herbs in that growing just so you can walk out and you still feel like, you know, I love the technology and the new stuff and everything, but I also like to get in there and dig around and get my hands dirty. And Marty, we were talking about like you're into like all the vermiculture and everything. And like I said, we, you know, dug up our compost, you know, and we went through, we were afraid, you know, cause we got a frost here in Florida, like a couple days, and it warmed up in a couple days, and it was going back and forth. But we dug up the compost and it was just full of worms. And like I said, Keela was just tickled about it because she's been, you know, trying to feed them for a year and that. And you always worry this like your little babies or whatever out there, right? That, you know, something's going to happen or they're gone. But she was all tickled about that.
Quite resilient. I think with thyme cuttings, from my experience in that type of thing, they're more of a woody herb. So woody herbs don't seem to do as well in a watery environment. So yeah, I wouldn't. From my experience, they're probably not, like you said, a hydroponic plant. Be better off growing in some type of medium.
Yeah, that basically like rosemary too.
Yeah, another woody one.
Yeah, And actually, stevia, I actually rooted stevia, and we love that. But I actually ended up putting that in the ground. Actually, it did okay in the hydroponics for a little while, but just sticking it in the ground and doing like you would in a traditional garden, it just flourishes. So that's the easier way. But so there are some things that do better one way or the other. You're just gonna have to kind of experiment with some of them.
Yeah.
Cool. And someone said something about I've grown basil and mint in hydroponic. Yeah, both of those are awesome. It's not. I've had a big tote, the plastic totes. I put basil in there, and I got huge harvest out of it, like four, just out of one season. Basil, you just keep cutting it, it keeps coming back. Mint too. But that's awesome. If you can have things like that, growing and readily available where you go out. I mean, if you go to the store and you're going to make your homemade pesto, you got to get quite a bit of basil for that. And basil, they sell in little 2-ounce packages over here for like $3 or $4 or $5, whatever. So if you're going to make, just having an abundance of it out in the garden is just cool, and that you don't have to worry about it. It's a very easy plant to grow.
Yeah, it grows from a soft tip cutting really easily. So, yeah, great one for hydroponics. The other one that I grow here, it's what they call like a semi sort of aquatic plant, and I picked it up out of a shop called Bunnings, growing actually out of a pot in the water area of all the fish. And I've gone, oh, that's edible. I'll grab that. And now I've got this massive big garden of it. It's out of control. But yeah, it's called Vietnamese mint, and that one I believe would just love growing in hydroponics and in the shade too. So it's one of those ones you don't need a lot of sun.
Let's see. The link to the article about the plastic bottles is no longer available on that site. Okay, cool. We'll appreciate that, Jeff.
Thanks, mate. But anyway, there's plenty of great info on there. And if I can get in touch with Willem, I'll find out why. He might get back to me if he's not too busy. As I said, he's
yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm breaking up on this side. Evidently, everyone can hear both of them, and it's just between me and you. It's something's not working right.
Yeah, it's not breaking up too bad here, Mike. That's very rare, so I think you're probably hearing it more than what we are.
Let's see. Yeah, I didn't hear anything you just said, Marty. Sorry about that. We'll try a vertical.
Through.
I'm coming through?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's getting a little better now. It just like broke up. I thought I was going to get kicked again. I would like to try a vertical tower made of plastic containers. Yeah, that's cool. That's what you were talking about, right? What
yeah.
That guy was having set up. They have something called window farms or something. I think I saw years ago, and that was kind of open source, kind of experimenting, where somebody kind of put a little design where they put the plastic bottles, some hydrogen plants, and stuck them in windows, and came up with different ways of like putting a little pump to, just basically like a drip irrigation kind of thing going on. Some people are trying to do it without any electricity and doing like a bell siphon or just all these different things, but they put it out and ask everybody to experiment with it, and it come and share their experience with everybody. So it just kind of open source, like the whole community experimenting. So that was pretty cool to watch that for a little while.
It all started from Willem's. It all started from Willem's invention. This is where it all come from. People don't realize this, that, this all come like a year or two later after his one. And he's got a channel on YouTube called Willem Van Cottam as well. And there's videos on there showing you how to build these. And you'll go back and go, wow, that was 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 12 years ago, things like that. And you just go, oh, hang on, this guy's pretty ahead, And so they just grabbed the idea and go, that's a great idea. How can we make it a little bit better? And started working on it, which is really awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah, let's see. Do you catch after it pastes through bottles and use it again? I don't really know what you mean there, Dale. If you can kind of clarify a little bit. Both of your audio is doing fine. Yeah, that's just weird. Must be something with YouTube. They said they're hearing both of us, but like between me and you, it's like, and it keeps kicking me out. So it's got to be my internet or whatever. It's just messing up.
Mike, you're coming through clear. I think it's either it could be your headphones a problem, or it could be something a delay in yours. But I haven't heard much. I've only heard you scratch out once. So
Okay.
yeah,
Grabbed a few bases and bottles to experiment with and paint. Yeah, that's another thing. If people are, about the plastics, Keely also grabs like glass. She sees something in the thrift shops and everything. And you can see the inside of it is black because we painted a couple layers of black, and then she painted white on the outside and kind of speckled it. She used to do arts and crafts, but so we're going to go ahead and plant something in because she wants something like me. I would just take these and wrap them in foil and just put some plants in it. But she kind of likes everything looking nice, so she's going to do some up. When she paints that, we'll go ahead and show that to you. But yeah, Marty, here's peas that we had growing.
yeah. I was looking at that video. It's inspired me to grow some more peas for sure.
Yeah, I love them. They're real tasty, but man, they just grow so easy. But I was thinking of doing, when they get that big and the weather's like perfect outside, I'm like, oh, I want to go plant those in the ground.
Yeah, well, you can take the top parts, harvest the top parts, eat that. You leave a little bit of where a couple of leaf nodes, and I'll throw out a new shoot, and boom, you go again. I use it for chop and drop in my systems, especially in the straw bale gardens, and also when I'm doing the microgreens, I do a double harvest. I find by the time the third time that it's starting to get a bit woody. By then, the first harvest is usually the best. I find it's the softest,
Right.
tenderest.
Right.
But I've got some friends that are full on vegos, and they'll just chew into anything. You go have some of this. I want it. They like it, so I'm a bit more fussy.
Keely makes a little dip or something to put them in. It's pretty cool. What kind of paint sticks best to the plastic containers? They've actually got a spray paint. If you're in the United States, and it's Home Depot or Lowe's, and it's actually made for plastic now. Back 10 years ago, it's just plain spray paint. It's just they had like wood or metal, and now they've got a plastic that kind of really bonds to it. So that works good. If it's something like this that you're going to use once or twice and then get rid of, is okay. If you're going to keep it around for a while, yeah, the paint's got to like really adhere to it. You can't just get any cheap paint and paint it, because the flake off and it'll be all over the place and all over your garden, and that's not really pleasant. So you want to make sure it's something that does stick to it. If you're worried about that, like Jeff was saying, just get some foil, wrap it around there. And then Kimberly or somebody who was in here was saying that to make it look pretty, like Keely said, to make her stuff look nice, you can decorate it. But the burlap, she said she wrapped it in burlap or craft paper or something. But besides that, that'll also cut down on that adds another layer of insulation and kind of keeps it a little cool, because that's another consideration with this. Without the nutrient solution moving, it's sitting still, it warms up really fast. If you got it sitting out in the midday sun and it's just a plain bottle like this, it's just going to warm up and kill your plant. So the more insulation you can get on there, the better.
I like the burlap concept, or getting an old t-shirt or something like that and wrapping that around the bottom, and then elastic band, just sort of fired something off then, because then we don't have to worry about sort of like using more plastics or more whatever. We've got something that's recyclable again, that once it's finished we can throw it into the compost or something like that in the recycled thing. So if you got spare, that we call it jute as well, the burlap. But I know it's not easy to get hold of, but everyone's got rags and old t-shirts and things lying around, right? So plastic ban, don't know, an idea.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Like I said, it looks nice too. Keely will like that. We'll get them all set up. But I'm actually going to try, and I've been kind of haphazard. I like just growing the stuff, and whatever I get my hands on and experiment with it. And I'm like, oh, that did pretty good. Let me get a picture of that and shoot a little video. Keely's more into like getting out there and getting it dressed up. So we went through and put mulch down, and so it looks like a little nice sitting area now. So I'm going to try and be a little more conscious of it this year, so that she doesn't wring my neck.
Can we answer this question? It says, do you catch the water after
Yeah.
it passed through the bottles? Um, that's a tricky one, that one, isn't it? Because sometimes the nutrient could be used up, could have some algae in it, maybe.
Hmm.
Uh, it's not like you can sort of put a bit more nutrient and then fire it off again. It's what do you think? What do you do with it once it's finished, or is the plant usually used it all up by the time it's?
Yeah, basically what I do with mine is like these downspouts. If you put microgreens in there, they're gonna go about a month without you even having to mess with them. And then once it starts going down, by then, if you're growing fast growing leafy greens, within a couple more weeks, you're gonna have a plant. I'll shoot a video of the stuff we got outside today. It's just full of baby greens. And by then, by the time it's going down, if I have to put more nutrients in, I don't fill it all the way back up. Between we keep it between half and three quarters. But if I let it get down low, I just give it enough to kind of let them hold on until I get ready to come in and harvest it, so that there's not like a whole lot of nutrients left. So I try to, let them use what they've got just about the time I go to harvest it, and then whatever's left over. That's why we have the traditional gardens with our herbs and everything. Is whatever's left, I kind of just pour it in there once in a while. I've got one above one. We've got one where Keely's messing around with her worms, and she put that one in that. And then I've got another above ground one that I throw like culantro and all the different. She's got a rosemary bush in there, and tarragon and mint and all kinds of things. Let's see. You can have a small farm. Yeah, and if y'all have any questions in that too, make sure you put a Q or say question in that. And because I'm really bad at keeping up with the chat and talking and doing everything at one time.
I'll try and catch something if I can. If you miss
Yeah.
something, Keely just mentioned something about maybe showing something to do with the other plants and worm farms later, so that would be cool.
Yeah, she's thinking of popping on here with this software. We can have like several people on at one time.
Yeah, awesome.
And so she's thinking of coming on, and I'm going to introduce her when she gets to feeling a little better. She was a little under the weather today. But yeah, she saw something about like our strawberries and that, and we had like a flock of robins come in. It's like really cool. You see them, and there's all these birds, and they're all singing, and it's spring. I mean, it's not spring, but the weather down here in Florida was like spring, and the birds were all out there. We're like, that's cool. But then they get down in your garden and start eating everything. You're like, hey.
Yeah, can we bring up that possibility, that collaboration that we're talking about, and to see what people think about it?
Yeah, you want to tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah, well, Mike and I, we've both been friends online for quite a while now, and watching each other's shows, and we really like the sort of like the chalk and cheese of gardening. I do sort of more to do with vermiponics and composting and things like that, and Mike does more to do with on the hydroponic side for his channel. And I'm actually like, I find that a lot of people get stuck in too many different one way of doing something, and then don't really open their eyes to other possibilities of other things. And that the world at the moment is really enclosing down and going, my way is just the only way. And where when I was a younger kid, people were more curious about certain things and go, why did you do that? Why did you do this? Why did you do it that way? And so I reached out to Mike and said, hey, how would you like to look at collaborating on a show, and we'll just run it for a little while, see how it goes, and we'll bounce off each other about different ways of growing food. And like I said to Mike, we don't have to always agree. We might disagree on some things, but that's not a problem. It's all about just sort of like bringing the content forward to you guys so you guys can make the right choice and empower you on the way you want to do it. Instead of me just going, this is how it's done, that's how it's done. If you do it any other way, you're a loser, which is really uncool, right? So it's like, Mike's gone, I love it. And yeah, we've been talking about it, and it's looking like it's going to go forward. And so have you got anything to say on it, Mike?
Yeah, cool. It's just I'm excited. Marty kind of approached me, and I've been doing some lives, and Marty's been going live. And what do you call it? Marty's one of the first guys that I was watching about 7 years ago when I started getting into it, and I learned a lot from him, and it was pretty cool. Just hanging out with. Over the years, Marty's always been real approachable, helpful. If you ask any questions, he's a real great guy. So when he said, hey, we should maybe think about doing a little collaboration a couple times a month. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And like Marty says, uh, we don't do everything exactly the same, but basically, like on this channel, everybody comes in here. We're talking about off-grid hydroponics, and I've got a little NFT system, and sometimes we have traditional gardening and that, and I just wanted to branch off into open it up a little bit more because, especially because our Facebook group, we get people in there to do traditional gardening, and they've got some questions, and a lot of us, like Marty said, there's not like one right way to do it, and maybe might get in there, and this is a great way to grow basil and mint, and you do that, you never have to go in the store and buy that stuff again. But maybe setting up a little worm bed or hay bale garden, or working it a different way, for other plants or tomatoes and such, that we don't have to be one dimensional. That there's so many different ways, and Marty's kind of on the same page as me, is that we want to get the word out to as many people as possible out there to learn how to grow and how to provide, for yourself. There's only a couple of basic necessities, that we need, that not want, it's air to breathe, and water and food. And
Good
it's
clothes.
sad.
You need a Marty's Garden t-shirt.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Look at that.
Luckily,
Awesome.
there's only one available in the whole world, though. Sorry, guys.
Oh. It'll put up for auction. But it's yeah, and sadly, most of us depend on somebody else for most of our food. So the
So
more
true.
you learn to do that yourself, that empowers you. So
Yeah.
I don't like to leave anyone out. That's why I try to do things as simple as possible so that everyone, can learn how to do it. When I got into hydroponics, there was a huge learning curve, and you had to shell out a lot of money to kind of get started. And I wanted to make it simple, and when I figured out a way to do it, and then I've learned from like Dr. Cracky and Marty and Pepe and all these people who are out there, and I want to share it with everyone. And Marty's on the same thing. He wants to help people, and Marty's got a big project coming up where he's going to be heading maybe to was it the Philippines?
It's looking like it's still being discussed. As you know, it's very hard to travel anywhere at the moment. We're
Right.
looking at possibilities of places where we can grow, how we can get food and distribute it to people, to those in need, grow the food, distribute it out. So it's all about growing, sharing, caring, educating, and getting it out, sort of thing. So it's got a long way to go yet, but yeah, I think we'll get there. But like I said, it's all about empowering. And I was thinking about it more today, going, hang on, like if I look back at all the income that I've made over YouTube for years and years, it would be less than, like, I don't know, a beggar on the street. You know what I mean? Like, really. It's hardly anything. Well, but the reason to do it is because, a few times I've nearly given up, and someone's knocked on my door and they come to buy some compost, we have a chat, and I don't even mention it, and they go, make sure whatever you do, and you don't give up. You changed my world. And then 2 weeks later, someone's saying the same thing, and I'm like, hang on, you know, this empowers people to be able to have control of some of their own life, some of their own food, some of their nutrition, no matter which way they do it or what they agree or disagree on. But if they can just make that, once they make that fine change, like some people might start off doing it one way and then evolve into another, but it's still bringing out the fresh food. And, for me, it's also about this whole mileage of things, traveling backwards and forwards and slowing down the carbon footprint and all that type of stuff. So now I'm more like, well, any way we can grow food. The only way I just think I disagree on, and I will not ever go with this, is people throwing synthesized chemicals on the lawns and it's seeping through into the system and all that, because it kills all the biology, ruins the waterways and all that type of stuff. And it comes from really bad history behind it to do with World War II. And oh man, you wouldn't believe, I've got some stuff coming up on my channel that's actually going to reveal some of this. It's really scary stuff. People will freak out, I'm telling you. But so yeah, other than that, I'm for any way to grow food, just as long as people aren't poisoning this, our land. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's cool. It's and like you said, so if that's what me and Marty are trying to do is spread the word, get it to as many people as possible. It's if you guys are in on it, we love it, and you guys are actually the tool that helps us do that by spreading the word to everywhere. And so, we don't mind helping you out. That's why we like doing like little live shows, Q&A, and just connecting with people and just bring you guys as much value as possible because you're the ones who are actually making what we want to happen. You know, you're the without you guys we couldn't do it. We'd just be two guys just sitting here just talking amongst ourselves. So.
Yeah, we'd be dead in the air. Someone not so lucky just asked what state I'm from. I live in New South Wales, mid north coast, just south of Port Macquarie, mate. So I'm right on the edge of sort of like temperate subtropical.
Well,
Yeah.
she said, yeah, in Victoria.
Yeah, but I'm excited for the show, and it looks like we're going to be one every 2 weeks on mine and every fortnight on your show. And we're going to be looking at some really like other stories and things like that to bring in to the show and make it entertaining as well as educational. So when we're bringing them out, if people can sort of like support it and understand that it's in a growth period, because the more people watch it and share it and things like that, then Mike and I will keep doing it. So it's like a pilot for a little while to just see how it goes. And we're hoping we're thinking, and what is since I thinking? We're pretty psyched that it's going to be fun and really good for you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So, what me and Marty are talking about is just a quick show like this. Um, we're thinking like every 2 weeks, one time we'll be on my show, and then a couple weeks later we'll be on Marty's. So we're going over to Marty's channel and go hang out over there. So twice a month you'll see we haven't decided on the name too. Everybody, if you guys, I was saying the Mike and Marty show, and Marty had a different idea. So
yeah, it's a bit of a debate going on between Marty and Mark and Mike and Marty and Marty. I'm getting it all tongue tied now, but you know what I mean.
yeah,
Like, who's going to go first? This is the thing.
yeah. So we thought maybe we'd let people decide too. Who knows? We might have it up for a vote. Somebody said M&M too, but that's taken. That's candy, so we can't use the M&M show. So
Yeah.
we have Marty and Mike on a mic. Both we'll figure something out. But yeah, so we're going to be doing that. If you guys like hydroponics and you like growing that way, we're going to be covering all the bases. We're not going to it's not just one way of doing things. If you got questions, like I said, I grow both ways. It's just that when you're in YouTube, you kind of got to put out the same content. People are always asking the same questions and if you stray from that, it kind of gets lost. So we kind of stick to one subject. So this is kind of cool that we have other people that come on once in a while, and all of you have questions, just, whatever day Marty's going to, be shooting over here. We haven't worked out all the kinks yet, but it just might be like, Monday night like this might be, one night that Marty shows up, and then we'll be over on his, and you got regular gardening questions, you can go to him. So I'm stoked for it.
Two different ways to grow basil, like, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, lots of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
you do it both methods and then practice between the two and go, oh, yeah, I like that one better. I'll go with that way, sort of thing, like, yeah, it's all about it sort of empowering the people to make their own informative choice, which I think is really cool. And like I said before, I'm really for that because I feel we're being sort of pushed into the corner all the time now, of sort of the way the world's moving, that everyone's right and you're wrong,
Right. Yeah. Jeannie said that grow show.
Yeah, the Marty and Mike Grow Show.
I'm excited to see your content.
Or
Yeah,
the Mike and Marty Grow Show. I don't know, what is it?
Either one. That's what we said. We might have to like arm wrestle for it.
Yeah,
Or it might switch back and forth.
Hang on, it's
Oh yeah. And let's see. Oh, and one quick thing before we go. I know we're getting on close to an hour here. I've got a set of these downspouts. Like I said, I was cutting them, and one of them that I got from Home Depot was a little shorter, by the time I cut the sections, and one was a little bit shorter, so I can't sell it to people. I don't want them, to get a 30-inch one and a 27-inch one in the same package. So I was just going to give it away. I've got 2 of them. One of them had a little crack in it. You can put a little silicone. I'll silicone it for you, you know, but after you use it a couple of years, you might have to put a little more. So I was just going to give that away if anybody wants it. Somebody was saying that I should just put it as like a defect or something, still sell it in my shop, but I really don't want to do that. I'd rather just give it away if somebody wants it. All you guys got to do is after this show, when we're done with it and it processes, you might have to wait a couple of minutes. When it processes, just go down in the comments and just say, I love Marty or something. But
no, they got to give a name for the show.
There you go.
I reckon. Yeah. And
that's
then
a good one.
Mike can choose, and then he can run it by me later, and we'll argue about it whether it's good or not.
There you go. Y'all just go down in the comments after this and leave us an idea of what we should call our show. And what do you call it? And I'll come by and I'll just use a random comment picker, and I'll do one out of that. But then we're going to take those names, and I'm going to take some and just go over them with Marty and see if any of those work, or if we're still doing like the Marty and Mike or Mike Marty thing or something.
Yeah.
But
it's a great idea. I reckon. I'd like to hear what people have got to say. Maybe come up with something better than us, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's like a ton of people that come up with better ideas than me all the time.
I know what you mean. It's hard, mate, being a one-man band. That's why we're doing this thing together, you know?
Yeah. And I'm excited. Like I said, I know Marty a while, and I've got a huge amount of respect for him in that. So I'm pretty stoked to have you on. And if anybody, like I said, if you don't know Marty, it's Marty's Garden on YouTube. And just search it, you can find it. And if you come back when you're going to leave a comment, when I'm done with the show, I'll go put it down in the description, and head on over there and check out his stuff. I saw like your one that you just put out today, Marty.
Yes. I can't even know. Oh, yes, that's the one about the. Just first, let me say something, because I highly respect Mike as well and what he's been doing on here, and we've become very friends in a way, and you know, like online buddies, and lots of respect, and that's one reason why we're here, you know. But getting to that video that we're talking about, I actually have these like above ground worm farms that sort of like in big barrels. They're big, massive, open compost plastic high ones, and I have them all in a row sort of thing along this windrow where I make a compost where the worms move in and out, and I put the worms back through this big barrel system that are all lined up, and below I have gardens, so everything's self-fertilized, and then I pull them out when they're finished, throw that back on the compost with all the worms, and sift that, and then this compost goes out as a product. So it's like this biology system of just recycling coffee grounds and wood chip, mushroom compost, a few different other things, to create a product to sell to the locals, and to, you know, grow a lot of food as well at the same time. That's what it's about, really. Yeah,
that's cool. And it's so y'all check that out. Like I said, it's cool if anybody's into like just traditional gardening and growing your soil. You know, Marty's been doing that, and I'm always fascinated just watching all of that stuff. And it's you had basil or whatever. Or you say basil, right?
Yeah, basil, yeah.
And what do you call it? You said it was actually growing and it's flowering, so it was helping the bees, but then it was also shading your worms, so it's like serving like dual purpose and everything. And you know, I love stuff like that.
Everything's dual purpose, yeah. So it's sort of it's feeding itself, it's producing a product, it's producing food for me, it's creating habitat for the animals and the you know around. And I got little lizards that hide underneath there, and butterflies come to visit, and bees, all different types of bees and different things, and pollinating insects. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. We've been hammered with rain for the last week and a half, and Basil can handle the wet. It's severe, like it's nearly flooding here. So they're hanging in there. They're good. Basil loves the water. That's why it grows so well in the hydroponics, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's cool. And we like that you can propagate it too by just take a cutting from it, stick it in another spout, and stick it in a little water, and before you know, you've got basil all over the place. Yeah,
there's a plant that I just put on my channel a couple of videos back called the African blue basil, and it's sterile, and it only grows from cutting. You can't actually get the seed. I just stumbled across it at a friend's place who's a very good gardener and noticed that it wasn't dying. And I'm like, how come that plant's not dead yet? You know, like it's been going for years. I'm going, could I take some cuttings, run some trials? And it strikes like easier than any other basil. The only time it sort of dies back is when it gets too woody and you got to keep cutting it back. And it's an edible basil with beautiful blue flowers, bit of a different flavour. You can make pestos and all different types of stuff out of it. The African blue basil. It's a great plant. It'd grow really good in hydroponics, even better than probably traditional Genovese, because you could literally take it out of the cracky when it's finished, cut the roots back a little bit, and pop it in again with some fresh material, and it would go again.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah,
that's my kind of plant.
yeah, this plant's really cool.
Cool. Let's see. We got a question. We're going to take these last couple of questions before we wrap it up. Somebody asked about your worms in it and night crawlers. Let's see. Did they do better than red worms? I know you were growing on red worms. So night crawlers or red worms?
I'll just read the question out so it just helps my brain analyze it a bit better. I like your videos. How did the worms? Can you do that with night crawlers too, better than red worms? I know you was going to. I've got all of them. I've got blue worms, red worms, a whole lot. But because I've got very deep systems now, the night crawlers are really taking over, to be honest. The smaller worms are doing better in the smaller farms. The crawlers and the night crawlers are really taking off in the big open barrel farms and the windrows. They're huge now. We're talking.
Yeah.
You dig out and you go, whoa, because it's a big, massive worm, not just little wriggler. But so yeah, I mix it up. I've got a good climate, but doesn't mean everyone can in that climate. So depending on where you are, Euros are good, in sort of like cooler climates, and then you've got African night crawlers, which are better in the warmer climates. But I've got both because I don't get extreme temperatures. I'm just very lucky in that regard. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, cool. And here's the Basil Microgreens. This one actually smells like cinnamon. And I have a video on this, but these got kind of big. It's instead of just, refilling the reservoir here, it's kind of the self-watering one. I started dumping a little bit of nutrients right in the middle there. And these are going into the downspouts. I'm going to be planting a bunch of those out. But, that's something, we're growing in the little takeout containers. Just like that. So we got plenty of videos on that. So it's all kind of cool stuff. But since you were talking about the basil, that's what I'm just waiting for. In a couple of weeks, there's going to be enough to make pesto already.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
It's cool.
Very cool. You almost follow like a similar system to what I do. Is I call it the ABC. So A is your microgreens, B is your baby leaf, and then C is like your parent plant when it's finishing up, and D is like other crops like papaya and fruit trees and things like that.
Right.
So you're doing the ABC, the A method, you can get it as a microgreen. The B method, you can keep growing it on a bit, cut it as a baby leaf. C, grab it and plant it out into maturity, eat it as a mature plant, collect the seed and go again. So you've got that recycled loop going again. And then you're empowering yourself because you don't have to go out and buy more seed, and you can keep taking cuttings from the plants and things. So hats off. Love that.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it too. And Chris Dunlop said, I'm joining both of you. Awesome. Appreciate that. I don't know how you popped up in the subscription channel. You guys are great. Awesome. Great to hear that.
Thanks, Chris.
And we'd love to have you here, Chris, and really appreciate that. I want to give a shout out to Jeannie too. She's another one of our channel members in the chat. And she's been a channel member for several months and that. Thank you, Jeannie. And she's always interacting with everything, and she's just great. And in our Facebook group too, so we have lots of fun, and everyone loves sharing and everything over there. So we're past an hour here, and Marty, I know you're in between jobs and everything, but I really appreciate you coming on. I wasn't expecting it. It was like a real pleasant surprise because we've been chatting and emailing and all that, and then you said you could pop on, so I was really excited about it. I'm looking forward to, all the stuff that we got planned, and I hope everybody else is too. So, if you guys are looking forward to the Mike and Marty or Marty and Mike show, give a big thumbs up, and don't forget to come back and leave a comment. down below this video because I'm going to go through. I'll go ahead and let it go tonight, and I'll go first thing tomorrow morning, and I'll shoot a video, and I'll go ahead and do random comment picker, get a winner for that, and then show up next week, and I'll probably give away some seeds or something. I want to give away some. I've got all kinds of stuff here, but what do you call it? I love having you guys in here. It just gets me so excited when all of you are sharing what you're doing. You're getting excited, and I know that it's still winter for everybody up north. You know, I'm in Florida. There's a couple of you out there that are lucky enough to be growing year round, but right now is the time to be planning for spring and getting everything ready. So get excited about it. And if you got any questions and everything, work through them right now. I'm here. You know, go check out Marty's channel. You got any questions about that? You want to get into vermiculture or just growing in a traditional way, small spaces. Awesome guy over there. So go check out Marty's channel, ask him questions, and get your ducks all in a row because hopefully this is going to be a fantastic spring over here. And Marty, you're actually opposite of us, right? Your seasons.
Yeah, but it's okay. I can grow all year round. It'll get a bit cold for some things, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm blessed with similar climate to you, Mike. So
Awesome. Cool. Well, appreciate everybody coming in. I love y'all. And like I said, don't forget, leave a comment, and I'm going to come back and pick a winner. Tell us, Mike and Marty, Mike, or somebody said grow show and whatever ideas, just give us an idea because we were just spitballing it right now. We really don't know. So be interested and see what everybody comes up with.
Thanks for having me on the show, Mike.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate it. And y'all take care, live to inspire, and keep on growing.